Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. This is episode 320, as well as day 320 in a row out here putting in those miles. Today's episode is out while putting in the miles. Defining Discipline podcast follows along on my journey, which entails me challenging myself to run 365 days in a row, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenge myself to run 1,500 miles within this time frame, and I also challenge myself to run 2 big races within this time frame. One of those races being a 50K ultra marathon trail race. That was the Yankee Springs 50K trail race on June 5th, 2021, day 156 of my journey. I was able to finish that 31-mile race within 7 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds. Now, the next race I came up with in this yearly time frame was the Detroit Free Press Marathon, and that was on day 290 of my journey. Was shooting for a sub 4-hour time within that marathon, and was able to finish within 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 28 seconds. So I was able to get that sub 4 time. Both of those races are personal records for me, as well as you can tell I was able to keep the streak alive after both of those big mile races. One being 31 miles, the other being 26. One being on 156, the other one being on day 290. Now we're here on day 320 and putting in that work. Let's break down the miles for the day, the week, the month, and the year. These are all going to be estimates. So for the day, should be putting in right around 7 miles. That should put me at 14 miles for the week, which should put me right around 115 miles for the year, and or not for the year, for the month, I'm sorry, 115 miles for the month, and for the year we're right around 14, I want to say 76, 77, 78 maybe for the year. So real close to that 1,500 mile mark. Should be crossing it here at the end of the week. And for that monthly miles, we're definitely really cranking it out here this month so far, with right around, like I said, 115. So let's focus in on those monthly miles, because every single month I challenge myself to run a 100-mile challenge, and I do it in honor of a charity in which I donate money as well as raise money and awareness for by starting a coinciding fundraiser. So for the first 10 months of the year, I was able to raise money for 10 great charities. Now we're here within the 11th month, the month of November. They were raising money for yet another great charity, that being Movember. You can find the link to donate and learn more about this month's fundraiser on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook story, or my personal page's Instagram story, or my personal page's Facebook story. Click on that link within the stories. It'll open up the page where you're able to make your donations, as well as learn more about the fundraiser, click that share button and share this month's fundraiser. Get as many eyes on it as possible. So keep in mind, all donations that get made to this cause and this fundraiser go directly to this cause and fundraiser. Facebook is not taking or keeping any percentage or portion of your donations. So keep that in mind when making donations. Click that share button and learn a little bit more about this month's fundraiser for November, which is Movember. Now, other than that, we normally do the word of the day, which I do not have offhand, so I will cut a snippet, add it in here, and I'll even add a snippet of the official mileage right here as well. So here's the snippet of the word of the day and the official mileage for the day.
Today's word of the day today for November 16th is facetious. Facetious means joking, often inappropriately, or meant to be humorous or funny. It usually describes something said or done as being annoying, silly, or improper. Facetious, today's word of the day. Also, official mileage for today, 7.1 miles. For the week, 14.2 miles. For the month, 115.9 miles. And for the year, 1,475.3 miles.
Now that we got that out of the way, let's get ready to get into today's actual episode. Episode 320, day 320. Today's theme is constant. And for one specific reason, because that has what these past few weeks have been. Just constant. Me getting out here, putting in those constant miles, hitting 50 miles for the last 2 weeks, putting it in again this week. It is very mentally and physically draining. It's taken a lot out of me. You know, I should be right around 19 hours for the month so far of out here running, and we've only been out here for 16 days in the month. So it's definitely has taken its toll. But just like it has been, that's life. Life is constant. It's constantly throwing curveballs at you. It's constantly getting harder and harder as the day and the days go on. And with that constant evolution of life, of just getting harder and problems advancing as we age, the best way to counter that is to stay out there in a constant battle against it. You know, throughout this year and last year when I really started running, that was my main goal. Is I realized how hard it was for me just to run that 1 mile when I originally first started. And I realized life is only going to get harder, and it's only going to get harder from here on out for me to run that mile. So the best way for me to counter that was to get out here and start working on it, so I'd be able to run it. So as I'm getting older and as I'm aging and as life is getting harder, I'm strengthening myself for that constant battle that I will be going through throughout life. You know, in this month right here, the battle is 200 miles. Next month is 200 miles. get ready and start preparing for the next big race I want, which is a 50 miler. So I'm out here constantly. Every single day this year, it's been constant putting in the work. Some days harder than others, but it's all about being out here constantly. It's how I improve. That's how I went from not being able to run 1 mile to running 31. That's how I went from barely scraping by in my first unofficially timed marathon that I ran by myself to shaving off an hour and a half at my first actual official marathon. It's because I got out here on a consistent basis. It was constant with putting in the work, no matter how hard and how crappy the struggle was. I made sure to get out here, be consistent with it, and constantly put in those miles, put in those hours, making plenty of sacrifices to do so as well. So the main thing is I wanted to make sure to be constant through this year and finish it off strong. So that's what I'm out here doing for day 320 and for these last 2 months. I've been putting in big miles to close out the year. The yearly goal originally started, if you've been following along since day one, at 1250. That got pushed up to 1500 more than right around midway through the year, realizing how much progress I've been making. The goal is still 1500, but now I'm really pushing for that 1750 mark. I can hit it with 200 miles this month, 200 miles next month to close out the year 2021. So it will be a constant battle from here on out, even after the year is over. Like I said, every day is constant. It's a constant battle. So get out there, put in that work. That's what I'm doing. So for your daily discipline today, episode 320, it is to get out there and constantly fight for what it is you want. Get out there on a consistent basis and be constant in putting in that work. Be constant in realizing that as you get older, you're only going to get slower and weaker. And the way to counter that is to be constant in the fight against it. So that is your daily discipline, to go out there and be constant in your endeavors, whatever they may be. Maybe you want to be a runner, maybe you want to lose weight, maybe you want to be on a better diet, maybe you want to start a business, maybe you want to change your career. You're not going to get there without being constant in pursuing it. So whatever it is, your daily discipline for the day today, is get out there and be constant. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for following along and listening to the Defining Discipline podcast. This is episode 320, day 320. I'm your host, Scott. If you guys can, please give the podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, and a share on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and whatever podcast streaming platform you've been following along and listening on. Other than that, thank you guys so much. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 321. And until then, stay disciplined, get your daily discipline done, and stay constant, baby. Peace out.